I hear kids in my car. So welcome everyone. I'm Nicole, founder of Homework for Kids and mother of two. Homework for Kids is the newest online community dedicated to helping parents connect with K-12 educators and tutors. And we donate a portion of our profits to kids' educational charities because we believe every child deserves access to a quality education. I am thrilled to introduce tonight's webinar. We are talking about saving for college. Hold on, let me just give you my little screen here. Hold on 1 second. Already messed it up, Debbie. Here we go. Does that work? Saving for college is a 529 right for my child. Thank you, Debbie. And Ashlee Nemeth, our regional marketing associate from Virginia 529. I love this new logo, Dream, Save, Achieve. That's awesome. And I'm going to introduce you to Ashlee. I have a little bio for her. I've broken my, there we go. Let's see. Oh, that's a great picture. Ashlee joined Virginia 529 as a regional marketing associate in 2019 to help families plan and save for their higher education goals. She lives in Roanoke and she travels across Virginia to educate families on the benefits of 529s. Although most cannot save for all expenses, every dollar saved helps lessen future debt. And she's committed to making higher education more accessible for all students and to help families find financial success. So with that, I'm going to say hi to Ashlee. I'm going to pass this over to you. And you're on mute.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and talk a little bit more about saving for college. If you bear with me, I will get my screen up here to share with you guys. I do apologize. All right, so yes, again, my name is Ashlee Nemeth, and I will be your presenter for today's information session. And thank you again, Jennifer, for having me join everyone here tonight. So I did want to share first right off the bat as a thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. I do have a gift code for all of you to use. I do want to note that this is only valid for 10 days, so you do want to act pretty fast on this one. You will just go to the website that's listed here, use that SAVE10 BAPTA as your payment code when you're opening up that account. I can get these slides to you guys too, so you can reference this later and use that code, but please do take advantage of that, and thank you to everyone joining us tonight. So first, what I want to get into is why you want to save versus worrying about paying that tuition bill when the time comes. So we have this scary chart for you to really put saving versus borrowing into perspective here, and just how interest can work with you or against you. So in that first bar graph, that shows if you were to save to pay a $35,000 tuition bill, what you could do is save $100 a month, and then that's going to result in the $21,600 in savings. And then in addition to that, you're going to have $13,400 of an assumed 5% earning on that. Now, on the other hand, if you are going to wait and you want to borrow to pay that same exact $35,000 tuition bill, now you're going to end up needing to pay back a total of $48,720. So for you, that's going to mean payments of $406 a month for 10 years. So a pretty significant reason as to why you would want to save versus borrow. And even if you're unable to save the entire amount that's needed, just saving something is really going to drastically cut down on not only your total amount needed, but also your monthly amount needed. Now, the sooner that you do start saving, the longer you're going to have to earn that interest I talked about in the previous slide. And this graph is just going to show you that cost of waiting. And waiting just 1 year to start saving $100 a month could result in $4,000 less in savings. And a lot of people really don't think about saving for college until their child starts school, but just waiting those 5 years could mean $16,000 less in savings. So even though it seems a little bit overwhelming, waiting to start saving is only going to add to that anxiety. So we really do encourage people to start saving as soon as possible. So you are going to have many decisions to make and options to consider when you are saving for higher education. And what 529 plans do is they help families plan and save for higher education. And they also offer tax advantages on all that money saved. And here at Virginia 529, we have been helping families for over 25 years now, since our first account opened up way back in 1996. And since then, we have been very fortunate to have grown into not only the largest, but one of the top choices in the nation. And that's going to be due part to our various portfolio options, our very competitive low fees, and also our very low starting contribution. And actually right now you can open up your account online for that starting contribution of only $10. Now, one of the main benefits of a 529 plan are going to be all of those tax advantages. All of your earnings, they're going to grow tax-free, and that's on the state and on the federal level. So what that means is that you're never going to pay taxes for the money that you earn within your account as long as it's used for higher education. So this chart here is just showing you the true benefits of those tax-free earnings. Now, if you look at the first bar graph in all blue, that shows a taxable account. Now, that could be anything from your traditional savings account, maybe you have a brokerage account. And in this scenario, let's say you save $200 a month for 18 years. You would end up with a little over $65,000 to then use for higher education. Now, if you look at the second bar graph in blue and green, that shows if you were to save that same exact $200 a month, but this time you did it in a taxed advantaged account, like a 529, you would have almost $80,000 to then use for higher education. So that's going to be over $14,000 of added savings, and that's just thanks to tax-free earnings. So it really is a pretty substantial difference with no change to the actual contributions that you made. And then aside from those tax-free earnings, if you are a Virginia taxpayer, you're going to be able to deduct up to $4,000 per year on your Virginia state taxes. And that is going to be per account, per year, and it does have an unlimited carry forward to it. And for Virginia taxpayers who are 70 or older, they're going to be able to deduct that entire contribution in the same year that they make it. And I do want to note that the deduction is for account owners only. So if you have someone that is gifting or sending money into your account, you as the owner do receive that deduction for all of those contributions. So maybe grandma and grandpa want to open up an account and they want to get that state tax deduction, you're more than welcome to have additional accounts for that same student. So I know that can be a little bit confusing, so we have broken that per account and per year down to a couple of examples of how you can make that work for you. Now, if you look at example 1 at the top, that shows if you have $8,000 and you contribute to one account in 2020, you as the account owner are now going to be able to take a $4,000 deduction in 2020. But since we have that unlimited carry forward, you're going to be able to deduct the leftover $4,000 on the next year 2021 state taxes. Now in example 2 at the bottom here, another way that you could make this work for you is if you had that same exact $8,000, but this time you split and contribute $4,000 to 2 separate accounts. And that could be if you have 2 children, they each have their own account, but that could also be if you have 1 child and you open 2 accounts just for them. You'd now be able to take an $8,000 deduction in 2020. So just as a reminder, that state tax deduction, it is not per owner or per student, it truly is per account and per year. So I'm mostly discussing our direct sold savings program, which is Invest 529. And when I say direct sold, what I mean is that you're opening up your account and you're conducting your transactions directly with us. So that's pretty similar to how you interact with an online bank account. We do have some eligibility requirements here on your screen. So first of all, the account owner must either be a US citizen or a legal resident. And you absolutely do not have to be a resident of Virginia to open up an account with us. We don't have an age limit or restriction for the student that you're saving for. And there's also no specific enrollment period. So you can really go online and open up that account at any time online. And again, we do have over 20 different portfolios for you to choose from. And we've tried to make it really simple for people to start saving with that Invest 529. So we've broken it down to these 3 steps for everyone. So first of all, your first step is always going to be deciding which portfolio or combination of portfolios you want to invest in. And then from there, all you need to decide is what amount you want to contribute, and then how often are you going to make those contributions. So we're often compared to like a 401k type investment or a Roth IRA, just with the choices that you're going to have to make in order to customize it for yourself and whatever your personal goals are. We do have many portfolio options offered, but the first one I want to tell you about is going to be our most popular one. And this is our target enrollment portfolios. And these are going to give you an investment mix that's based off of the age of the student you're saving for. And then it's going to automatically adjust over time for you. So this is the very hands-off, set it and forget it approach, where you save the money into the account however often you want to. And then each and every year, that portfolio is just going to gradually and purposefully get a little more conservative up until they graduate from high school. So just for an example here, if you did have an 11-year-old you wanted to start saving for, you'd want to look at that 2030 portfolio, since the target ages are between 10 and 12. And then you contribute whatever amount, however often, and then it'll auto adjust itself each and every year. We do have index portfolios as well, and these are just going to track the performance of the broad market benchmark, and then they're going to seek to match that risk and return. And these portfolios, they typically do have lower fees than some of our other investment options. But where they are going to differ from those target enrollment is that they're going to remain static. So that means they're not going to shift over time. The only reason that they would change is if you went online and made the decision to do so. The next type is target risk portfolios. And these really hold a diversified mix of stocks, bonds, cash, other investments. And they are going to span the risk tolerance from conservative all the way to aggressive. So these are really designed for someone who wants a static investment, but they want it based off of their risk tolerance at the time that they're making those contributions. There's 2 very distinct management philosophies as well. You can either do actively managed or passively managed. And the difference there is that the actively managed portfolios, they're going to try to outperform the market, whereas the passively ones are just going to replicate the market for you. And you guys are probably a little more familiar with these too. We do have principal protected portfolios. These, of course, are designed to protect against any loss to your original investment. So they generally do have a more stable return as well. And again, these are going to remain static as well. 2 of the options here on your screen are the FDIC insured portfolio and then also the stable value portfolio. And then the third type of principal protected portfolio we have, it is a relatively new option. It did just launch in February of last year. And with this portfolio, it's going to be a little bit different. So with this one, you are going to be purchasing units, and 100 units is going to equal a school year. So the unit cost and the payout is going to vary based off of the weighted average tuition at Virginia public colleges. But it can be used outside of Virginia. It can be used anywhere that accepts FAFSA, and it can be used for more than just tuition. You can use it for any of your qualified expenses. So if you do have any interest in this particular portfolio, a great resource is going to be going to our website. We have an entire webinar that is specifically dedicated just to this. We're in the home stretch, I promise. We do also have specialty portfolios, and these are going to include investment options that don't fall under those other 4 categories. So maybe you're looking for an investment that's going to use environmental, social, and governance criteria when it's selecting funds. That would be our ESG investment option. Or if you're looking for something with domestic and international equities, you could pick that global equity portfolio. Now, most of these portfolios, excluding the principal protected, they are subject to market condition. So of course, that means if the market goes up, your investment will go up and vice versa. But the great news is you are able to change your investment selection or your portfolio. You can change that twice per calendar year without any kind of penalty. Our fees are very competitive. They're here on your screen. They're going to range from 0.069% to 0.569%. And that number, it's just based off of the mix within the portfolio that you personally choose. And we do have other details such as our performance history, all of our investment managers and underlying funds found on our website listed here. So if you do want to dig a little bit deeper into this, it is very transparent and I encourage you to do so. Another great resource on our website, maybe you're having information overload, you're just not sure which one of these portfolios is a good fit for you. We have a virtual portfolio assistant. And with that, you're just going to plug in a little bit of information about your budget, your time horizon to save, and whatever your savings goals are. And it's going to narrow down those 20 plus portfolios to about 3 or 4 that are going to align with whatever your goal is. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next step. So once you've chosen your portfolio, now it's time to decide how much and how often you're going to contribute in order to grow that account. And we do have several options for everyone here. So first of all, you could set up a recurring automatic contribution, and that could come from your checking or your savings account, and that could be as often as you like. Or you might just choose to do one-time contributions whenever it's most convenient for you. We do also offer payroll direct deposit, and that would just be a post-tax direct deposit from your paycheck directly into your Invest 529 account. But as I think we're all very well aware, it really does take a village these days. So we do offer a lot of gifting opportunities for everyone as well. And we've definitely noticed that gifting money for college has become a lot more prominent in the last few years. So first of all, when you open up an account, you are assigned a unique gift code, and you can take that code, you can share it with friends, family, or anyone really, because sharing that code is not going to give anyone access to your account information. All it does is give them the option to gift and to send money into it. We do also have physical gift cards in many stores across Virginia. And also we have paper gift certificates that you can customize and print yourself right from home. But what we've noticed a lot of people are doing is they're taking that unique gift code and they're blasting it on social media, or they're printing it on birth or graduation announcements. So now friends and family can be part of that village it takes to save. And just as a reminder, if someone is gifting and sending money into an account that you own, you will be the one that receives that state tax deduction for all of those contributions. Now, when it comes time to use the money, it's just as simple. The funds can be used at any eligible institution worldwide. And that's not just going to be your traditional four-year universities. It can be used at other types of schools as well. So whether that's community college, technical or vocational school, even training programs and registered apprenticeships. A really good rule of thumb that we like to tell people is if you're not sure if the school will accept your 529 funds, check out that FAFSA website, because as long as the school accepts federal financial aid, you can absolutely use your funds there. And also the payout, it's not going to vary based off of the type of school that you choose, whether that ends up being public, private, in-state, out-of-state, or even out of country. And a more recent update is that you can now use up to $10,000 per year towards your public, private, and religious K through 12 schools. So that's opened up a whole new door to a lot of families as well. The funds can then be used to pay for any of your qualified higher education expenses. And I do have a list of examples here for you. So of course you can use it for your tuition, but it can also be used for your fees. It can be used for room and board, even if it's on or off campus. any of your required supplies or equipment. You can even use it for your computers and internet, and of course, any special needs services. And a really exciting update that we had is that you can now use up to $10,000 of your 529 money for student loan repayment as well. So we've definitely seen an influx of adults opening up accounts for themselves and naming themselves the students, getting that tax incentive, and then turning right around and using it to pay their student loans. I do want to briefly mention two of our other programs here, one being College America, and this is our advisor sold program. So if you already work with a financial advisor, or maybe you just want the opportunity to build and customize a portfolio with one, this one might be a good fit for you. The fees and the opening contributions, those will both vary just based off of whatever advisor that you personally choose to work with. So their contact information is here on the screen if you're interested in that. And then a completely separate subject, but an absolutely worthwhile one, is going to be our Able Now program. And this is also a Virginia-sponsored program, but it is open for nationwide enrollment. And these are savings accounts for individuals with disabilities. So these really help increase their quality of life without having to jeopardize their means-tested benefits. So if they're receiving SSI, SSDI, or Medicaid, and for a very long time, individuals with disabilities were only able to have $2,000 in savings without being at risk of losing that SSI and Medicaid. So this program is awesome. What it's going to do is it alleviates that $2,000 limitation, and it's also going to give similar tax incentives to the Invest 529 program. So if you have any interest in this, or if you know anybody that could benefit from it, please do visit the website and share the website. We do also give information sessions on the Able Now program as well. So I have the contact information here up on the screen. So if you do have any questions in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out to our customer service team. They truly are a wealth of knowledge. So here's their phone number as well as their email address. You guys, of course, can follow us. We are on Facebook and also on Twitter. And then again, I'm going to share this promotion because it is awesome and we don't do it very often. So this is a gift code for a free, no strings attached, $10 to jumpstart your savings. So if you already have a 529 account, you can still use this code and you could open up a separate account. So this is the website listed here, and as your payment, use that Save 10 BAPTA 2022 as the payment code there. So that's all I have here. And if you guys do have any questions, please pop them into the chat feature. I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have today. I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Ashley. There were a couple that popped up, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Awesome.
Oh, and there's more coming. The first one was, what if your account doesn't have state income tax? Does that matter? Coming from Texas.
What if your account doesn't have state income tax? I'm not sure if I really understand the question. I do apologize. Just when you're depositing, I don't know if this is going to answer it, and feel free to pop another comment in there. So everything that goes into your Invest 529 account is already post-tax. So it's been federally taxed. It's been state taxed. Everything going in there has been taxed already. But when you're filing your state taxes, if you are a Virginia resident, you're going to be able to claim that state tax deduction. So I hope that answers it. If not, pop another comment in there.
Okay. And then the next one is, would I be able to open 2 529 accounts for the same child and get an $8,000 tax deduction every tax year?
So yes, so if you have one student and you open up 2 separate accounts for them of one of the 2 different portfolios, maybe you have an FDIC insured and then you have the target risk portfolio, and you contribute $4,000 to each one of those accounts, then yes, you would be eligible for an $8,000 deduction that year. That's exactly right.
And then they also asked, what's the guaranteed return on the stable value fund?
I don't know what the exact return is on that, but I know if you go to our website, you can break down and look at each one of those portfolios and see the history of return on that. So I do apologize. I don't know that number right offhand.
And they also asked about the sites. What site can you check the K through 12 schools that take the 529 funds?
That is a really great question. And the answer is a list does not exist.
I was going to ask you that question too.
Yeah, so the way the law is written, it really does not specify a specific list of school accreditation, anything like that. The way that it is written is it is just public, private, and religious K through 12, and you can use up to $10,000. And it is for tuition only. So if you have other fees or books or supplies, unless it's included in that tuition cost, you can only use it for the tuition. So $10,000 per year per child, but
Right.
there is no list that exists.
So a question I have, which because I have opened one of these for each of my
Awesome.
kids, and I have 2 daughters. And this is the first thing I said was, what happens if your student gets a scholarship?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be amazing. That's great. No, or they don't go to school. They just decide not to. Then what happens?
Yeah. So with scholarships, we are absolutely not going to punish you or the child for getting a scholarship. We absolutely encourage everyone to apply for every single scholarship, grant, financial aid, everything that's out there, like get your free money. So with the scholarship, what's going to happen is you can actually, well, first of all, not all scholarships cover everything. Sometimes it's
Right.
only going to cover tuition, and then it's like you got room and board, books, and that whole other laundry list of expenses. So you could hold on to the funds and use it for some of those other expenses. But if you're not going to need them, it's a full ride scholarship. We have a scholarship reimbursement form. And with that, you're going to be able to withdraw all the way up to that scholarship amount. And there's absolutely no penalty for doing so. It becomes a qualified expense for you, actually. As far as not you're saving in a 529, maybe your students decide not to go to school and they don't need the funds anymore. In that case scenario, you do have 30 years after their high school graduation date to decide what you want to do with the funds. So you could hold on to it, gap years, several gap years, maybe they go back for grad school. You could do that, as well as you can transfer it to another family member. So of course, siblings, yeah. So you could transfer the, leftover balance to the other sibling, but it's anyone who's akin to them. So it could actually even be like a cousin.
What
And
about, you were saying parents too could use
Mhm.
it for, so if a parent wanted to do a MBA program or something and their kid was not going to do any more school, or they don't use it all. Could you use some of it for one kid and they don't use it all and there's still some left?
Absolutely. Yep. So that could be the case. If you have leftover, if they don't use the money at all, or if they just have leftover funds, you can absolutely roll that over into the other students or your own. If you're going to pursue, higher education as an adult, you can absolutely do that. And with that 30-year time frame, it's such a huge window. We've actually seen it gifted down generationally.
Oh, wow.
So the child that used it originally will take ownership of the account and then pass it down to their children. But if the funds just aren't going to be used, like you don't want to hold on to them, you don't have anybody to transfer them to, it is your account. You do have the option of cashing that out and closing that, but there will be a couple of things that happen. So first of all of your earnings are growing tax-free that entire time. So if you withdraw it for an unqualified expense, there will be a 10% penalty on the earnings. So not the entire account, just those tax-free earnings. And then you would just treat it as ordinary income on your next taxes. So that's what
it's so great though, because if in the end they just want it for a down payment on a house.
Yeah, the option is still there. And no harm, no foul, because it grew tax-free and you end up just having to pay those taxes if you're not using it for the intended purposes.
And
It's kind of like this. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, the one other question I had, if you were eligible for financial aid, would it affect your financial aid eligibility?
Thank you. So yeah, it will minimally affect your financial aid. We absolutely still encourage you to apply again for the grants in the financial aid. So the most that your financial aid can actually be affected by having one for your child is 5.64%. So it has a very minimal effect on your financial aid. If it's grandparents versus other relatives, being that account owner, we always encourage you to check with school, the financial aid office. But as a parent-owned account, 5% is the most that they can affect your financial aid.
Great. Awesome. Other questions from our online participants? We don't see any at the moment. And the other big question, which you already showed us, but where do we go to open the account?
Yes, so Invest 529, it is a direct sold savings program. So we operate just like an online bank account where you can open it up. We don't have that enrollment period. You can really go online at any time, pick any of those portfolios to choose from. And please do use that $10 gift code. It's free $10 to get you jump started.
I like free money.
Same.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I have I'm gonna have just one other little slide of mine I'm gonna pull up. Thank you for coming here and showing us all this information. I know it's such a great plan. You know, I started my daughter will be 8 in 10 days, and I believe the grandparents started it for her like when she was born. And we didn't really do much with it at first, but now we're like, oh, look, there's some money. That's
Yeah,
great.
That's the great, they really are designed to be super flexible. So even if a grandma and grandpa open one with $10 and you didn't touch it for the rest of their lives, like that's still going to acquire interest. And, you know, there's just it's not like a monthly charge that you're obligated to. I did see another question, if you don't mind, I'm gonna hop in. Because it is a really good question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, please. Oh, I just see it. Yep. Sorry about that.
Yep. So they want to know like what happens if they move out of the state of Virginia. Specifically, will they still be able to contribute, and what's going to happen to that state tax deduction? So we have no state residency requirement. So you could literally live in Ohio, save for a child that lives in California, they could go to school in New York, and you can still use that account. There is no state restriction of where you use it. So if you move outside of the state of Virginia, you can absolutely keep your account with us. But you won't be eligible for that state tax deduction. You'll still get the tax-free earnings on it. Some other states do offer a state tax deduction. So we really do encourage you to check with the state that you're moving to, because we don't want you to miss out on any other incentives that they might be offering. But you can absolutely keep your account and continue contributing. Or if your state you move to offers an incentive, you can absolutely roll it over into that state as well.
Great. Awesome.
I had another question, but I'm not able to chat. Ashlee, if you have a child that for some reason has a catastrophic event and is disabled or something, is there a way to roll over into Able Now?
Yes, actually. So we are, Virginia 529 is the parent company to Able Now. And just as a refresher to everyone, Able Now is the savings account for people with disabilities. And that has absolutely happened, not even on a catastrophic level, like maybe you're saving for your child or all your children in a Virginia 529 or Invest 529 account. And later the student is like, you know, diagnosed with autism and things don't go as planned and they're not going to go to college. You can actually roll over all of those funds into an Able Now account, and that is penalty free. And even if you did roll it over into an Able Now account, they could use that account if they did want to further their education later on and still use that for school if they chose to. So thank you. That was a super good question.
Sorry, I still have a question about moving outside of Virginia.
Yes.
So about the tax aspect of it, because certain states don't offer a 529 program, does that mean that the account I have with Virginia 529 would become taxable in that state, whatever earnings or income it accrues over time?
So if you have an account with us, you open up the Invest 529, the Virginia 529 account, and we're just going to move to Ohio because I seem to be referencing that state a lot today. So you will still get the tax-free earnings. So it's still going to grow tax-free on that federal and on the state level. Your state tax deductions that you were claiming were absolutely legitimate when you were in Virginia. It's just that you won't be able to continue getting that state tax deduction if you are living out of state. So I hope.
Yeah, you answered that. Thank you. I was just wondering about the accrual, like the continual growth in the account, whether that's tax, but you answered it. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Sorry, Ashley. I have a question. Going back to, I know there's no list to verify which K-12 schools take the 529 funds.
Mm-hmm.
So do I just call the schools individually and ask them if they take 529 funds? And if they verbally tell me they do, I can use it on that?
That is like exactly what you do, because as long as they are equipped to handle that transfer and receive that money, then you can absolutely use your funds there. That the only roadblock you would have is that the school is not equipped to receive those transfers from Virginia 529. So with K through 12, the payment always goes directly to the school. But if you are using it for higher education, you can choose to have the funds either sent to the student, you can send them directly to the school. And a lot of times parents are just reimbursing themselves. They're out at Best Buy and they're buying a laptop on the spot, and then they're withdrawing the funds and reimbursing themselves. So that's just the difference of how you can withdraw funds, just depending on what the purpose is.
Okay.
So if you're doing K through 12 and you have to reach out to the school, who do you recommend they call? Like, are we calling and just asking to speak to the accounting department? Like who,
Yeah.
or does it have to go through the registrar's office first, or no, because it's just paying for it?
I think it just depends on a case-by-case basis with the
Case by case,
school.
yeah.
Yeah, if they do have like an accounting department or just admissions, and they should
Just
be able to
admissions
answer
in
that. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you for your time today, Ashley. It was very informative.
Well, thank you so much for joining. I'm super excited to get out here and spread the word. And we play a lot of Mythbusters out here with like state residency requirements and stuff like that. So it's really good to come out and talk to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share I think we see that, and then hopefully I can, there we go. So thank you so much for attending. And as soon as I hang up and get this online, I will send everyone a link, and I will make sure all of Ashley's contact information is in there along with the video. Our next webinar will be in mid-May. Our speaker is still TBD, so stay tuned for that. And just a reminder for our website, you can join homeworkforkids.com for just $10 a month. You get access to all of our almost 200 educators. You can contact them unlimited amount of time to find the right tutor for your children, or multiple children, and a portion of the profits, it's actually up to 50% of the subscription profits goes to kids' educational charities. So please follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Homework for Kids LLC, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Ashley.